William Walker Atkinson's Vril, or Vital Magnetism. Lesson 9 was the secret of Vril absorption. This is now lesson 10, application of Vril power. When the student has acquired the knack of Vril absorption, he may apply the power of Vril to his physical requirements in many ways. He will have laid up a reserve store of Vril in the solar plexus and other centers, which he may direct and distribute to the various parts and organs of his body at will. It is possible for anyone, with a little practice, to acquire, I need to get my scrolling working here, to acquire the art of directing the flow of Vril to any particular part of the body. This will be found very advantageous in the treatment of physical troubles and weaknesses. When any part of the body is found to lack proper vitality, or when any organ shows signs of imperfect functioning, a supply of Vril directed to that part or organ will be found to be highly beneficial in the direction of vitalizing and stimulating that part or organ in question. This is true not only of organs like the stomach or the liver, but also of the great nerve centers of the body, including the spinal cord and even the brain itself. Treatment of the spinal cord in this way will result in imparting a new spirit of vitality and energy to the entire system, and is one of the best tonic treatments known to psychophysiology. The following directions will serve to give a... Bear with me once again. There we go. A little problems here with my scrolling at times. It is possible for anyone with a little practice to acquire the art of directing the flow of Vril to any particular part of the body. This will be found to be very advantageous in the treatment of physical troubles and weaknesses. When any part of the body is found to lack proper vitality, or when any organ shows signs of imperfect functioning, the following directions will serve to give the student the key to the many forms of application possible under it. The general principle once clearly understood and firmly grasped, the student may apply it as directed by his own particular requirements and necessities in such a manner as seems preferable to him. Here we go. General directions. Either sit in a comfortable position or else recline in an easy position, relaxing every muscle and quieting every nerve. Then concentrate the attention upon the solar plexus, or the region of the pit of the stomach, just where the ribs spread apart, and awaken your consciousness of the storage of a reserve supply of Vril at this point. Then will that some of this Vril supply shall flow along the nerves to whatever part of the body you wish to energize. If the part to be energized is situated above the solar plexus, you must mentally, and by an effort of the will, draw upward the Vril current. If the part to be energized is situated below the solar plexus, you must in the same way mentally push downward the current. In either case, you must accompany the will effort by the mental picture and consciousness of the actual passage of the current. The current. It may take you a little time to acquire the particular knack of directing the current in this way, but after a little practice you will find it very easy. In fact, it will become almost second nature to you to send the current whenever you recognize the need of it. When you feel generally tired, exhausted, used up, it will be found beneficial, to treat. When you feel generally tired, exhausted, or used up, it will be found beneficial to treat the whole body in this way. In special cases, particular organs or parts may be so treated. A feeling of relief will be experienced in the part treated in a few moments. In the case of headaches or other pains, relief may often be obtained by first flushing the affected part with Vril in the manner just described, and then reversing the process and drawing away the current. This plan tending to equalize the circulation and the nerve currents, and thus to restore normal conditions. Yep. Cold feet often may be relieved by stimulating them with a supply of Vril. Stiff muscles or rheumatic joints often are relieved in this way. In fact, one who can so direct and distribute the Vril currents is practical master of his or her own body and may successfully treat himself or herself in this way to great advantage. The brain may be stimulated by sending it a strong current of Vril, or it may be rested by first flushing it with Vril and then drawing away the supply and allowing the brain to rest quietly in a relaxed condition of peace and comfort. General self-treatment. A form of general self-treatment by Vril currents in the direction of a general vitalization and energization of the entire system is herewith suggested. Number 1, lie in a comfortable position and concentrate the attention upon the solar plexus, awakening a consciousness of the presence there of the reserve supply of Vril. Then direct the current downward to the feet, first to the left foot and then to the right, until you can feel the energy manifesting in them. In some cases, a slight tingling may be felt, while in others, merely a general feeling or subconscious awareness is manifest. Then treat the lower part of the legs in the same order, then the thighs, then the reproductive region, then the abdomen and the lower internal organs, then stimulate the solar plexus itself, then the lungs and the throat. After having treated the various organs and parts of the body in this manner, reverse the current and cause it to float down the spinal column, sweeping it repeatedly from top to bottom, allowing some of the current to flow out through the connected nerves. Next, concentrate the attention upon the sacral plexus at the lower part of the spine, giving to this region a decided stimulation. Finally, direct the Vril to the nerves and muscles of the neck, and then to the brain, giving the brain a good flushing, and then withdrawing the current by a reverse impulse and direction of the will. Then rest quietly a few moments, and you will arise refreshed and energized. Variations may be applied to this general treatment, but the general order above suggested will be found to be adapted to the majority of cases. Special self-treatment. Now, in cases of local pain or physical disorder, local pain or physical disorder, one may treat himself not only in the above stated general manner, but also by specially concentrated currents of Vril directed by the use of the hands. In this case, the Vril flows down the nerves of the arm and hands and into the affected parts with renewed and increased force and effect. Passing the hands over the affected parts or holding them there, at the same time willing that a steady, continuous, and powerful flow of Vril pass through them and into the part, will be found quite effective in many instances. If preferred, the Vril may be forced into the part in this manner by a series of mental pushes or pumping motions. Mental pushes or pumping motions. Some prefer one plan and some prefer the other. Both should be tried, and the one best adapted to the particular wants of the person adopted and thereafter applied. Now, treatment of other persons. The student may treat other persons in the same way as indicated in the previous directions for self-treatment. The principle is the same in all cases. The knowledge of the direction and the distribution of Vril to the bodies of other persons constitutes the secret of what is popularly known as magnetic healing. There's no special new principle involved in the treatment of others. Treat the other person just as you would treat a part of your own body. Treat the other person just as you would treat a part of your own body. The current of Vril will flow into the affected part of the other person and back to yourself. Always place both hands on the other person during the treatment in order to complete the connection in this way. After the treatment, it will be well for the healer to treat himself briefly and to recharge himself with Vril by the method previously described. In this way, he will never suffer from depletion of Vril and will avoid taking on the condition of the patient, which often occurs to psychic healers who are not acquainted with the means of recuperating and protecting themselves. Interesting experiments have been tried along the lines of charging water with Vril by holding the glass in one's hands and sending the current into it. Some magnetic healers have made quite a feature of charging water in this way and then giving it to their patients to drink in sips in addition to the regular treatment. We mention it here merely as a matter of general interest and as a suggestion for experiment on the part of our students. We feel that, interesting though it may be, is not necessary or important or an important part of treatment by Vril, for the reason that the course above outlined should be sufficiently successful without the assistance of such methods. By reason of the simplicity of the methods suggested and the absence of all attempts to dress the subject in fanciful and mystic verbal garb and imagery, there is danger of the average student failing to appreciate the benefits that may be gained by the use of Vril in the manner indicated in this lesson, and of his failing to realize the importance of the information herein given. We warn the student against undervaluing any knowledge or instruction merely because it may be stated simply and plainly. It is no easy matter to reduce teaching of this kind to simple, plain terms and equally simple methods, for this task is really the condensation into a few lines of the experience of many years and of many persons. It is much better to elaborate the matter in detailed technical style than to reduce it to terms and methods capable of being understood and applied by all persons of average intelligence. The student must not forget that behind this simple exposition and explanation and the equally simple methods of application there is to be found one of the greatest and most wonderful of nature's forces, the real inner meaning of which will probably never be fully known to the mind of man. The final secret is bound up with the secret of life itself. The student who masters these instructions and methods is brought in touch with this great force of life and is enabled to apply its energies at will. Let him beware of undervaluing the power he is using simply because it is capable of simple, plain application. And let him beware further of allowing familiarity with this power to develop into contempt of it. Nature does not approve of belittling or trifling with her great forces. Triflers who enter the field of psychism or occultism frequently are brought to a rather vigorous realization of the fact that they are but pygmies playing with titanic forces. On the other hand, there is something in nature which seems to approve of the right use of its mighty forces, and which encourages and aids those who employ these forces in the proper spirit and toward worthy ends. And the right use of vital energy, life force, Vril, is always in the direction of life and health. Lesson 11. We'll be conserving Vril power.